Hi, I'm Lisa. Lately, I've had a number of questions from clients who are about to apply for citizenship or who have applied and are thinking about what will the interview be like and how to prepare. People mostly concentrate on that civics test, the government and the history, which has now, since October, it has changed from 100 questions to 128, and presumably the English part of it has increased also in difficulty. Before it wasn't very difficult. I'd say it was probably at a second grade level in terms of the English. Now it might be more, but they do give you on the website um, vocabulary that will be used, and for most people that won't be a problem. Also, the civics and history questions are not going to be a problem. People mostly do not fail that. Uh, you can get several wrong, and I'm mentioning this because I think the real thing people should study is your application. And you should have a very clear and strong sense of your history in the United States as an immigrant. Because when USCIS evaluates somebody for citizenship, they are looking at their whole immigration history in the United States. They are looking at questions of good moral character. They are looking at whether what you said in your first application to come to this country as a student, for example, if that is consistent with what you are saying now about your history. So it is to your benefit to really examine, what did you say before? Where did you live before? Have a sense of your addresses for sure, your employment, your marriages. All of those things are fair game for an examiner to look at. Also, examiners can, under the guise of good moral character, they can ask questions about use of public benefits, which I think is actually pretty rare among immigrants. But don't be surprised to get questions about when you lived at this house, who else lived there, where you're living now, who else lives with you. Some of those questions are designed to get answers to compare with previous answers, for consistency. Some of them, I think, are designed to compare those other people. If they're immigrants, they can look at those files and make whatever judgments about what was the person doing there, what were they claiming on other applications. So don't be surprised to get questions about who else was living in your house. I just think it's so important that when people like me, when we prepare people for citizenship interviews, that we are going over a person's entire history. And starting with the N400 form, it's 15 pages long. So don't neglect to go over each item on the page. Was your answer correct when you put it in the application? If you don't have it, you can download it and look at it, and you really should do that. That's how you should prepare, because the officer is going to say, hello, and start to ask you questions about easy ones, of course, at first. What's your name? What other names have you used? Where do you live? Where do you work? What about your children? Be prepared to answer any of the questions and any offshoots of the questions. It could, the interview could talk about a previous marriage. It could talk about a previous job, a previous residence. The N400 itself, the form, is going to guide the officer. It'll guide the interview, because the officers have to mark that they had asked all of those questions. And so I think that the order of how things will go, you can pretty much guess that it will be in the order of what is on the form itself. So that's my strong advice, is to know what you have applied for before, maybe get a copy of your previous applications. For most of my cases, I have clients do a Freedom of Information Act request to get their entire previous file because I want to know what was on their previous application before I file for them. Lately, that's taking a super long time, but I believe the effort is worthwhile in many cases. Um, Even if you don't do that, just have a sense at least of what you put on the N400 form and any forms, in the previous 5 years or so. Have a sense for what's there. Other parts of the immigration interview for citizenship might concentrate on, did you have any tickets or court matters? If you did, be prepared to fully explain them, even if those matters are closed and there is no longer anything on your record. The question on the form isn't, do you have a record? The question is, have you ever, anywhere in the world, been arrested or cited? Remember, a ticket is a citation. So I believe people should explain when they got a ticket, and you should put that on the N400 form. But if you didn't and you are about to have your interview, be prepared to answer the question, and don't worry that you have to bring documentation. You don't. You just have to have an honest explanation about what happened. And if you did get a ticket, if you did have a court matter that was dismissed, you can say that. If the matter was closed and vacated and sealed, you still need to say that yes, this happened. Because the question of whether you have a record that somebody could look at for employment purposes or rent purposes is not the same as what an immigration officer can ask you about or what the immigration agency expects you to answer. So, good luck if you have a citizenship application that is pending, or if you're ready to file one. Just be sure to prepare yourself fully and explain any incidents. And you can watch videos like this and others about what the process is like. Good luck. Thank you.